To meeting the Andover Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals, December 19th. This is a unique one. It's a Wednesday night instead of Tuesday night. So, roll call. Lynn?
Lynn Heath.
Bill Schnauber.
Brian Lindeback.
Gary Israel.
Eric Peterson.
All right. And we have some minutes from November 20th.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to accept the minutes from November 20th, 2018.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. We have some communications on subdivisions and anything for staff to report here. Yes. Saw those. All righty. Any questions of staff at this time? Okay.
No.
We'll move ahead here on item number 5. This is case VA 2018-06, public hearing on a petition for a vacation of the north 11 feet of the, I believe it's the south 30 feet of a rear yard utility easement on property zoned R2 single family residential district and generally located at 617 West Point Court, Andover, Kansas. The applicant desires to construct a swimming pool in the rear of his home, and that would encroach into the 30-foot utility easement. And the utilities have been verified, and only Westar has responded with comments that the water's edge must be 5 feet from buried electric lines. And the proposed vacation of 11 feet appears to allow for more than the required 5 feet. So staff knows no reason not to approve this case pending the outcome. So we have some information here provided by the applicant. I am pleased to see a nice survey. Sometimes we don't have such a nice survey that goes along with our applications. We're left to interpret some things. So this was especially nice to have a survey. And questions of staff or the applicant? It seems pretty cut and dry to me, but certainly if there's any questions, now is a good time to ask the applicant or staff.
Is the applicant present?
Yes.
I do have one question that, if you could state your name and
Sure.
address.
I'm Chad Albin. Live there at 617 West Point Court.
The question I have is drainage. You know, when you're going to be building your swimming pool and everything, have you got all that worked out so it's not going to affect your neighbors, or it's going to continue?
Yeah,
with the,
if it's hard to see on the property, but there's actually a big drainage channel through the backyard. And it does funnel kind of naturally to that southwest corner. There's in the bid that I have with the vendor I'm going to select tomorrow, there's about $3,000 worth of work to make sure there's some underground drainage that we're going to take care of and stuff as well. So,
okay. Good, thank you.
and if I could, regardless of how this goes, I wanted to thank Lance with the city. He was awesome to work with through this process. This is new to me, and he's such a good representative for our community. I just want to make sure it was noted that I really thank him for his help.
Go Lance.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. If there's no questions of staff or the applicant, I'd entertain a motion.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we approve the variance number VA-2018-16 as proposed.
Vacation case.
Oh, the vacation case, excuse me. vacation case VA 2018-06.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
This vacation will be forwarded on to the city council. They'll hear it at their January 8, 2019 meeting.
I will be abstaining from this next action.
Item number 6 is the review and accept the Flint Hills National Edition Phase 6 final PUD. The developer has decided that the public street access to Southwest 120th Street is not needed for day-to-day traffic circulation, and has modified the final plat previously approved so that all traffic access will be from the Flint Hills National Parkway Loop. The previously platted access point will be an emergency access only. Staff knows of no reason not to approve the revised plat. Okay. Les, any additional information here?
No, again, I think this one's pretty cut and dried. We've had some discussions with the developer and the engineer about whether that connection needed to be public, and if it did, the improvements to 120th Street out to that point, and they've decided just to continue the loop all the way around and use the Flint Hills National entrance.
Okay.
There's no safety factor involved or anything like that for access and,
No, all about Flint Hills, we have these emergency access points.
yes.
There's at least one in every mile, so that if the street is blocked, emergency services can get in.
yeah, remember that now.
Les, what keeps the public from entering Flint Hills through that entrance then?
I'll let Jason with MKC answer that. All of the others have gates that the emergency services have keys to, and if not, the fire chief tells me he's got a big bumper on his truck.
Good evening, Jason Gish with MKEC, representing the applicant here. And yeah, Les explained it. They just simply, some of them, most of them, I think, have just kind of a typical cattle fence that you'd see in any pasture. So that's kind of how they've been handling it. And they open those up sometimes for construction traffic, but the intent would just be primarily long-term emergency access. So they're gated when they're not in use.
Okay, thank you.
I did want to mention just one thing, just not that it matters, it doesn't really change anything, but along the east side of the plat, if you would, I don't know that you have the old one, but just as a notice, we did tweak a rear property line to basically parallel the Prairie Creek Road there. Before, it kind of had some little bump outs behind some of the lots, and we have an as-built of a berm that was built. So anyhow, this parallels that. So we thought it was going to have a few jogs, but it didn't. So talking to the developer, they decided to go ahead and just simplify that and straighten that out. So just FYI, that's the only other line work change that's on this drawing.
Okay.
Of inconsequence, I think. Of no consequence.
All right. Any other questions for the applicant?
No?
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, any discussion?
I think it's pretty cut and dried.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion here.
No fancy. I'll make a motion that we approve the Flint Hills National Edition request for the closing the extra access except for emergency use or as requested.
Do I have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Abstained.
We have 4-0, 1 abstention. Thank you.
All right. That takes us to item 7. This is a preliminary plat, USD 385 Meadowlark Edition. We reviewed this at subdivision committee. Seems like it was this week, but I think it was last week. Yeah, there's some work to be done on the plat, but that's kind of the nature of a preliminary plat. There's things that need to be sorted out, and I know the applicant is working diligently with staff to get all the I's dotted and T's crossed, and that includes utility extensions, access controls, and the sort. With that, Les, maybe you could expound upon our comments at subdivision.
Yeah, we've come a long way from where we started a month ago. We've got a good conceptual traffic report that helps us to know where the access points could be, spacing between access. We've refined the utility locations a little bit. We're delving a little deeper and deeper into drainage in the preliminary plat. The school has worked on their site plans a little bit. They're nowhere near finished with site plans, but we think we've covered all the bases for utilities and traffic and drainage.
Okay. And you're talking about left turn lanes as well in and out of the site, or there are left turn lanes? Is that any comments there?
There is a left turn lane on 13th Street. There's also a two-way left turn on 159th Street, so traffic report talks a little bit about those, and they seem to be adequate
Good.
with today's traffic volumes.
And have we talked any more about like sidewalk connections? And I know there's some improvements going to be made to 159th. Those would probably be things that people in the vicinity may be concerned about with getting kids to and from.
We have a separate project that is late this year. It goes to construction to rebuild Turnpike Bridge. And with that project, we'll build the 10-foot bike ped sidewalk from the bridge down to 13th Street. And at the same time, we have a city at large project that starts at the bridge and goes south to Central. We'll also extend that 10-foot bike ped south all the way to Central to complete a loop around that entire square mile over to Andover Road, connects with Redbud Trail to the north,
That's great.
and we'll be down to Kellogg in 2021.
Well, that's all good information for people to understand on this project. Any other questions of staff?
Yeah, on the land, how's the school gonna be laid out? I know it's preliminary, they may not be that point, but what's your thoughts?
Phil Myers here with Boffman. He can probably answer that better than I.
Not a big deal, I'm curious.
Bill, can you come up and address that for us, please?
That's my clue.
Yeah.
Good evening, Phil Meyer with Boffman Company, agent for the applicant. With me here tonight is Brett White, who's the superintendent for the school district, and Troy Sanders with Icon, who's the project construction manager that can answer specific questions if you have them. So, Eric, to answer the question you're asking, and maybe expand a little bit, we've presented to you a 2-lot plat tonight, and that's what we're looking to get approved as a preliminary plat. FYI, when we bring you back a final plat, we'll probably bring you back Lot 1 and the reserves and drainage easements necessary for the development of Lot 1 and not final Lot 2 now. I'm 95% sure of that statement. So to answer your question, Lot 1 will house 2 school buildings, which is the northern lot. So the CAPS program, which is a new program, that building will be built along 13th Street with access to 13th. The new elementary school, which is Metal Arc Elementary, will be in the southern 2/3 of Lot 1, and it will face 159th and have access to 159th Street.
Thank you. Helps a lot. Thank you.
With that, I'll answer any other questions Planning Commission may have.
I think the only thing that we discussed at subdivision at some length was, getting a cross-lot agreement on Lot 2 preemptively whenever that does develop. So I think that, just for the record, I think we all discussed that and that we all know that, but for the record, that's something that we discussed at subdivision. So
No, and that's not an issue. We've been working on access and the drive location, and we'll supply necessary easements.
thank you, Phil. If there's no other questions of Phil at this time, we'll go ahead and bring it to the bench. I would extend, if there's others in the community that would like to speak on this matter, as a courtesy to you, if you've showed up tonight, if there's something that you'd like to speak about as a courtesy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Swartz. I own the property just to the east of this property at 1111 West 13th, Andover. I just took a look at the plat late this afternoon, so I haven't really studied it big time yet. But a couple of questions arise, and I realize it's a preliminary plat, which needs some finalization. The first one is there is a right-of-way for water line going to 159th, running east and west. As far as I know, there's no water line along 159th. That isn't, I don't know what that is. It doesn't seem to make any sense, but that's, maybe they're going to put a water line in there. I don't know. Second thing is, where's the sewer going to go? There's no sewer right away any place on this plat, and that it would seem to me that that's be a fairly significant item that needs to be addressed. The third thing is, there's nothing on this plat that shows anything about the abandoned oil well that's on this property. That oil well has not been plugged according to the state records, and it's right out there in the middle of everything, and it looks to me like it's going to be right in the middle of where they want to build a school. The documents that we pulled up this afternoon show that well filled up with water when it was drilled. And that casing was put in there to about 1,000 feet. The only problem is that was in 1932. So if it hasn't been plugged correctly, we have a lot of pollution problem going on there. Now, I know that they had requested a phase 1. I don't know whether it was done or not, and I don't know whether they came up with it, but they obviously found the oil well because there's a bunch of cable that they pulled out, probably out of the pit that was used there. But something needs to be addressed to that particular well. That's all I have.
Thank you. I think it might be best if you wanted to speak about, I can speak to the water line easement. Oftentimes on a pre-plat or a plat, that period, we're reserving areas for a water line or other infrastructure. So, whether the design has occurred for the water line or not, that easement is there for its place in the future. As to the sewer line, I know that there's it's less. Maybe I think it's correct that it's still in debate as to where exactly it's going to go and where best it's going to suit the property and the future property. So maybe if you want to speak to that.
Sure. There's a water line that runs east and west on the north side of 13th Street. The utility concept would extend the water line to the south across the width of Lot 1 with the platting of Lot 1, and then in the future extend on across Lot 2. The sewer would have to come from the south side of the turnpike. We have existing sewer interceptor in the Teradyne subdivision that would be extended up to the turnpike, bored under the turnpike, and then continue on all the way north up to 13th Street.
Okay. And I'm certain the owner could speak to the fact about the well topic, so if you feel that you'd like to address that to the public now, that's fine. I know these sort of things are due diligence items that, you know, get sorted out as site developments occur, but if you wanted to speak to that, feel free.
I apologize for this. Troy and I were talking back there. You're talking about the question on the well?
Yeah, just the comments on the well. If you want to speak to that, just for the record, and oftentimes these things get sorted out prior to construction, of course, and
Yeah.
site investigations and such.
And if you guys want more specifics, Troy's more than willing to come up here and share some of that with you, but he's told me, we were unaware of the well being there. It's nothing that showed up in title work, but they did find it there and have been working with the state and had somebody from state down there looking at it, trying to locate it. So they're in the process of working through that issue now.
Well, good to know.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions of
Sewer and
Agent
water
App-
good. The only other thing I'd tell you is that's a rural water easement that's sitting out in your existing right of way. It's an old easement. And that's what Mr. Schwartz saw on the plat. There's just an easement in place. I doubt there's rural water in it. So,
Does that need to be released, Phil?
it's in the street right away at the moment, so, man,
Doesn't affect you guys.
not at the moment.
Okay.
Rural Water District has no authority.
Okay.
Would you-
Pardon me, Les.
None of the rural water districts have any authority in this area in the city of Andover. They have a service boundary, and this property isn't within any of the rural water districts.
It was bought out some time ago or negotiated. Okay. Very well. Any other questions or concerns as we bring it back to the bench?
Mr. Schwartz, did you have another comment that you made, or did you get your answer?
No, I just.
Would you come up to the podium?
Sure. It sounded to me like he was talking about a different easement than I saw on the plat. The one I saw was like 200 yards long, running right in the middle of the property. I don't think it's really important. I think it's something that's going to have to be changed one way or another, or solidified. It just looked strange to me when I
Okay.
saw the plat.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we'll see this plat come presumably early next year in the final form. But I'd entertain a motion for acceptance or otherwise.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the Prairie Creek addition, the USD 385 Meadowlark addition preliminary plat as stated.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second by Lynn Heath. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes unanimously. That brings us to item 8. This is the review and acceptance of the Prairie Creek Addition 4th Phase Final Planned Unit Development Plan. Again, staff and those of us on subdivision committee reviewed this last week, and there are no reasons not to approve this plat. But any comments, staff? Anything new to bring to the table on this?
No, I think the developer and the engineer have addressed those comments from the subdivision committee. This is kind of the new normal for residential development in micro phases, a few lots every year.
And it has been determined that the two cul-de-sacs will be Sage Court and Velvet Leaf Court? Okay.
Okay. Any questions of the agent? None here? We'll save you a trip up, Bill. All right. All right. I believe everything is in order here, and it sounds like staff has got everything in order with the applicant. Seek a motion to approve, or otherwise.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the Prairie Creek Addition, fourth phase, final planned unit development.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good.
Good thing you said fourth phase.
All right, we do have a fifth phase now, item number 9. This is the review and acceptance of the Prairie Creek Addition fifth phase final planned unit development plan. And this is again just in that same neighborhood, just to the north of what we just approved. Everything in order on your part, Les, with the applicant? Okay. And so, any questions on this item?
On here.
Nope.
None.
Okay, well, we're a lively bunch tonight.
Yeah.
Well, we hammered a lot of this out in the sub.
We did. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the Prairie Creek Addition, fifth phase, final PUD as submitted.
All right, we have a motion
Second the motion.
and a second by Gary Israel. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right. Thank you very much for coming out here tonight.
Thing is, much bigger, agenda this time.
Yeah, well, it leaves just 2 items here. We have item number 10. We'll maybe start down here with Eric.
I have nothing, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Brian, I'd like to tell you how much we appreciate all your efforts and the time that you've put in as chairman and working with the subdivision committee also. I think we're going to miss you quite a bit, so, but look forward to seeing you come up and present.
Sure,
things.
yeah, it'd be my pleasure, and thank you for the kind words, and it seems time flies, and kind of look back and you're like, well, it's been a little while, but yeah, it's been a very good learning experience, and I've grown a lot in many ways. I do appreciate, the time on the bench here, as well as all the background information, working with staff and others, so thank you.
Second those comments, and I appreciate all your expertise. It was
Yeah.
a big help to have you on board here.
Well, good.
Good luck.
Hopefully a little bit's rubbed off, but I was curious, and staff, our big work that we've been working on for a year, it was approved last night, I presume?
Yes, the council approved all of the ordinances and resolutions to make our new UDM and floodplain regulations effective upon publication later this month.
Okay, great.
That's great.
And that will go live on the website at some point in the near future, I presume?
Yes, it'll be live as soon as that ordinance is published.
Very good. That's,
The flipping book host that we're using turned out to be extremely simple to load into, and everything loaded pretty much seamlessly.
great. Well, that's exciting. Yeah, it's
it
a lot
Thanks for all your work.
of good work there. Yeah.
Now I just have to undo 30 years of habit to a new set of regulations. I told Lance I know what all the words are. I just don't know where they are in the new document.
Well, there's some good search tools now. Yeah.
So I just want to make sure, I know Gary and Bill confirmed that they would accept 3 more years of appointed by, I just want to confirm that tonight. And then Lynn, if you could hang in one more year, I know you've been hanging in for 15 years or whatever it is now, but
I think a little over that, but
your term would be up, and we would promise you that we would go out. It just we're having a little bit of a difficulty finding 2 more people right now. We just can't really afford to lose one more. We know Alex is on, I think, until 2020. Is that right also, or is he 2021? I can't. Yeah, and I think Eric's 2021 also. So
we won't be traveling as much as what we thought we would right away, so.
well, and obviously getting through the UDM was a big thing, and I'm hoping these meetings won't be nearly. I mean, we're still going to have some stuff in front of you, but that was a big project for you guys, and we appreciate it. So, I'm going to suggest that Bill and to the mayor that Bill and Gary would be willing to accept another 3 years, and I think then we got to go out and look for a couple more people. One from outside of the city and in our planning area, so that's a little challenging, but we'll work on it.
Before we adjourn, I do have one thing I want to ask. I don't know who I'm asking it of, but I'm just curious. Where has things transpired on the Butler Community College issue since it came back to us and we sent it back? I don't know.
Well, that's been a circular debate. The city council did override the mayor's veto and approve the ordinance, but the college has decided to build their new building on the existing 20-acre site, not on the 20 acres that we held all the zoning hearings about, towards the southeast corner of their property. I just had a phone conference with their architect this afternoon, and he's moving along on plans and says he will have site plan submittals in February for a final site plan review in hopefully March.
So the land to the west is going to stay as it is. They're going to build to the.
Pretty much, with the exception of some parking and access.
So what is being built or land being cleared just north of Andover High School?
There's a pipeline relocation that's going on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there's a finished fuels pipeline that goes across country that runs through the school site up through the Quail Crossing subdivision and on over to the Coke facility in Wichita.
Wow, a lot of things going on.
Yeah. Well, I think that leads us to the last item.
No, need to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Definitely.
Merry Christmas, all.
Happy holidays.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And looking for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn.
Second it.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Lynn.